about a week ago, I got a random box of liquor from a good buddy of mine, and in it was 12 bottles. I haven't opened it. I haven't pulled the bottles out to see what they are. But today, on a Sunday, I'm going to do just that. I'm going to open everything up. I'm going to pour them into my Glencairn glasses, and I'm going to sample them. I have no idea what they are until I pull the bottle out. So join me. Let's have some fun. All right. So a little over a week ago, I was with a buddy of mine, and he said, "You know what? You're a guy that appreciates this kind of thing. I've got a whole box of random liquors, aged whiskeys, rums, things like that, and just wanted to know if you wanted to take them." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, man. You know, send me a picture of what you got." He said everything was like in his garage. It's just been kind of collecting dust. I said, "Send me a picture of everything you got, and I'll see I'll see if there's anything good in there." And he goes, "No, man, it's in my car right now." I was like, "Oh, cool. Let's go." So I went out there and he started to open the door. And I said, "Before you start pulling any bottles out, I want to do one thing. Just don't show me anything. I want to make a YouTube video out of this." So I brought the box home with me. The box was uncovered, but I really tried not to look at what the top of everything was, specifically to do this video. So I'm going to start pulling bottles out. I'm going to pour them into my Glencairn glasses. I've got a spit cup right here. I've got a fresh glass of water to rinse my palate, because I'm sure there's probably going to be some stuff in there that's pretty good, and I'm sure there's some stuff in there that's going to be pretty not so good. All he said was it was just a mix of whiskeys and rums, so we'll see. We will see what's in there. So the box is next to me. Let's see here. See if you can see it right there. So that's the box right there. Top is open, so everything, of course, I can see the one of them is in a tube. I'm assuming that's some sort of, I would guess it's probably a Scotch of some sort. So we're going to start with the upper left and then work our way. I don't know. We'll work our way through it. So, all right, let's go. Yeah. Grant's blended Scotch whiskey. This is 40% alcohol. Just looking at the bottle, this bottle looks really stupid. If you guys can see this, it looks really, really dumb. And the way they put the label on, they put it on like one of the curves of this triangle, which is really kind of stupid. I don't know why they wouldn't put it on like one of the flat ends. But this is Grant's blended Scotch, uniquely finished in hand-picked Edinburgh ale casks for an unmistakably rich, smooth, and creamy blend. Let's see. I'm not a Scotch guy. Yeah, actually, that doesn't smell too bad. So let's see. Ooh. It smells like apple juice. Grant's blended Scotch whiskey. I don't know what the price on this is. I'm guessing based that it's a blended Scotch whiskey. This is a Stelvin closure, otherwise known as a twist cap. Really, really kind of stupid looking bottle. Really, really light in color. So I'm guessing that whatever, I can't imagine that because of this is a blend. There's a wide variety of age statements that can be in here. Based on the color, I can't imagine that there's anything particularly old in there. Is very, very light. So I'll hold it up to a white background. Very, very light in color. You can see that over here. I mean, that's borderline just watery. I swallowed accidentally, but you know, for not being a Scotch guy, here's the thing. This is exactly what I would imagine like a very bottom shelf blended Scotch to be like. This is something that I would imagine like my grandparents probably would have drank back in like the 50s and 60s and 70s or whatever it was. And, you know, this is something that they probably had at the wet bar in their basement, specifically meant for blending away in ginger ale or 7-Up or whatever. That's exactly what I imagine this probably was meant for. That being said, You know, it's not terrible on its own. I'm not really a Scotch drinker, so I can't really tell you like compared to what or eh, you know what it tastes like. It tastes like a Scotch, but it's very watered down. Pretty grassy on the nose. Pretty kind of malty. It's very plain. Nothing really to write home about. Nothing too particularly exciting. Grants. Probably, I would guess right around $20 on the bottom shelf would be my guess. Interesting. All right. Let's move on. Black Cat Extra Smooth Golden Rum. Based on the label of this, I'm going to go ahead and say, again, another Stelvin closure twist cap. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is probably another bottom shelf. This is 40% alcohol. Let's read the back here. The distinctive taste and unparalleled character of Black Cat rum have taken this exceptional spirit to domestic and international acclaim. This intriguing rum from Suriname, a tropical paradise on the northeast coast of South America, was awarded the prestigious Monde Selection Médaille d'Or, gold medal, in 1977 in Luxembourg. So they're still riding on the coattails of a gold medal from some, I guess, a prestigious gold medal over almost 50 years ago in Luxembourg. Good for them. Good for them. Let's pop it open. Let's see. So color already, we can see it's definitely a little bit darker than what that blended Scotch was. There is a lot of sugar. There's a lot of something added to that. There is no way that is natural at all, which with rum honestly does not surprise me. Rum is very kind of unregulated. There's not a lot of rules and regulations that you really have to follow in order to be a rum. You're allowed to add a lot of different things, even just swirling it in the glass as far away from my face. I can smell it from here. It's very sugary. I can tell that this is going to be very suckly sweet. I'm guessing that there's a ton of sugar added to this. I'm guessing that there's probably also some caramel color added to this. You can see the bottle right here. It just does not seem, having had very good quality rums in the past, this does not seem like something just based on the smell and the color and the bottle that this is going to be a very high quality. Butterscotch candy, coconut, kind of those tropical flavors that you would imagine. There's a little bit of pineapple-iness in there. Slightly grassy, but it's mostly that butterscotch that comes through. That is very artificial. Very, very artificial. There's a lot of flavoring added in there. Mostly coconut and probably butter rum or butterscotch or something like that. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but when we talk about rum, if it's going to say flavored rum on it, then great. I've had rums in the past that are flavored with coconut, butter rum, butterscotch that are just absolutely fantastic, that are really, really great for mixing into these really fun tropical, cocktails. I live down here in Myrtle Beach, and that's kind of the culture down here is rum punch. This is you can almost taste that artificial, sugary kind of taste to it. I do like that butterscotch coconut. flavor to it. Like if I was to mix this in like some sort of fruity frozen drink, it would be awesome. On its own, even the smell just kind of smells very artificial. Whatever award they got in 1977 in Luxembourg, you know, hats off to Black Cat for that. You know, almost 50 years ago. What is it? 45 years ago. It's a real heavy tobacco note on there that I get right at the end. That's not awful. It's interesting. This would be something that like would be good in like a mixed drink. You know, nobody's buying Black Cat regardless of this award that they won, you know, almost 50 years ago in Luxembourg. Nobody's buying this to like probably to sip on it. This is not a premium product by any means. But as a mixer, sure, why not? Black Cat Golden Rum. All right. Let's move on. So now we're getting to the tube, which I assume is some sort of Scotch. So we'll see. Benriach. The Benriach. Peated single malt Scotch whiskey, aged 10 years. Again, I'm not super familiar with Scotch. I have heard of this particular brand before. Again, this is very, you can see how light in color this is. Very, very light in color. See with Scotch, again, there's another, this is is this a cork? Well, let's see. Let's see here. It is. It is a cork, and it is an actual cork. It is not a rubber cork. This is Curiositas, peated single malt Scotch whiskey from the heart of Speyside, aged 10 years. Again, you can see how light in color this is. So Scotch is really, you know, for bourbon drinkers out there, Scotch, and who may not be familiar with Scotch or kind of how things are aged over in that part of the country, because they don't have that typical hot cold cycle like we do here in the United States, specifically in Kentucky and some of the southern states where a lot of bourbon and American whiskey comes from. You don't get that interaction with the barrel. So things that, you know, a 10-year bourbon might be really dark and rich, really, you know, big and bold in its flavors. But in Scotland, it's cold and clammy most of the time. So oftentimes a 10-year Scotch, just because it's been in the barrel for 10 years and it's almost always a used bourbon barrel or some sort of American whiskey barrel, because it doesn't have that same hot cold temperature where the whiskey has as much interaction going into the wood, out of the wood, into the wood, out of the wood, you get a much lighter colored product. And oftentimes you see, you know, a Scotch that's been aged 10 years for the American palate, you know, might be just fine. You know, in bourbon, 10 years is a pretty good milestone to hit. But in Scotch, you see 15, 20, 25, 30. I mean, Macallan has a 72-year Scotch that's out on the market now. It's, you know, six-figure price tag, but regardless. So this is Curiositas peated malt from the Benriach, or Benriach, however you want to pronounce it. Ooh, I can smell it already. I can smell it already. All right. See how light in color that is? Super light in color. Peaty. Very, very peaty. Where does this come from? Speyside. Oh God, I have a feeling that I hope there's nothing else in here that's like real mild or tame, because I have a feeling that this is just going to absolutely destroy my palate. I wish I would have not picked this one just yet. We're only 3 into 12, and this is so fucking stupid. I don't know why I'm doing this. Oh, it's so peaty. It's so peaty. One sip. Oh, I could drink that. Yeah, smoky, peaty. A little bit of leather. There's some tobacco, but it's like tobacco smoke on there. The back, though, floral, fruity. Very, very pleasantly surprised with that. The finish, I used to be a smoker years ago. The finish is coming through now. It went from like peat, smoke, a little bit of grassy, but like fruity and floral, and it's fading. Oh, that positive surprise of like, oh, this isn't that bad. I could drink this. Just faded to that tastes like an ashtray. Oh, the surprise was up front. It was like, oh, this is actually not too terrible. I could definitely smell the back of my hand just to kind of get the smell of peat. I could definitely this is something that I could definitely drink. A little bit of fruit, floral like apple, pear. There was some floralness to it that just kind of like immediately, washed over the palate, the back palate, right after that initial kind of like smoke took over. And now there's just a lingering taste of ashtray. Sorry, Benriach, but while you might be for some people, you not be for me. I can still taste ashtray. All right, let's move on to the next. God, I hope it's not a Scotch. Really? Southern Comfort. But you know what? For the sake of science, let's figure out how this stupid thing opens. There we go. So Southern Comfort, if you've ever had a rough night, more than where or a rough morning, you wake up and you're super hungover and you think to yourself, man, I'm never drinking whiskey again. It's probably because you drank Southern Comfort. Southern Comfort is really, it's kind of hard to define. It's not really I guess it's kind of a whiskey. It's mostly just grain neutral spirit with a little bit of whiskey. I believe whiskey added in there. It's technically considered a liqueur because it's 35% alcohol, 70 proof. And it's flavored with different things to kind of give it this like unique flavor profile. It's most commonly mixed with like Coca-Cola or some sort of cola. So it's been years. It's been years since I've had Southern Comfort. And the reason is because honestly, this stuff is just terrible. It smells so fake. It smells like black licorice and cherry. Shoe leather. Oh God, I don't even want to. Okay. Ugh. It's so fake. There's so much sugar. I mean, it's a liqueur. So it's meant for mixing. It's not meant to drink on its own. If you don't like black licorice or fennel or star anise, things that have that kind of taste. This is not something you're going to enjoy. I hate that taste. Black licorice, fennel, star anise. It's so, ugh, it just does nothing for me. It's so artificial. It's so cloyingly sweet and spiced. As a mixer, I'm sure it's great in like mixed drinks. This is something that I did a lot of shots of, like mixed shots when I was in my early 20s. It does go pretty well with Coca-Cola because cola just generally has some of those flavors that are in here, the cinnamon, the lemongrass, the nutmeg, licorice. Some of those flavors kind of play off each other. They work really well. On its own, though, way too sweet. Not for me. Sorry, Southern Comfort. All right. Row number 2. Hillbilly American Bourbon Whiskey, 101 proof. Now, being down in South Carolina, this is actually something that I see quite a bit of down here. The hillbilly redneck culture, the moonshine culture, is something that's very near and dear to people's hearts down here. It's, it's their heritage, it's their culture, it's how they grew up with their, their grandmammy and their grandpappy. So this sort of thing, bourbon just really hasn't kind of become a big thing down here in South Carolina as it is in other places on the coast or in big cities like Chicago, Houston, Louisville, Los Angeles, New York. Even though we do have a relatively large population down here in Myrtle Beach, it's really more of a touristy destination. So bourbon really hasn't taken off quite yet. Now, when people see this stuff on the shelf, though, this hillbilly American bourbon whiskey, it's got 3 stars next to it. It's got an American flag on it. It just kind of speaks to that kind of culture and that heritage. So this stuff actually flies off the shelf down here. I am pretty familiar with it, although I have never had it before. Artificial cork. See what it tastes like. And I'll look at the back. I want to see where it's made. Bottled by Hillbilly Spirits, North Charleston, South Carolina. Aged a minimum of 6 months in new charred oak barrels. Bottled by Hillbilly Spirits, Charleston, South Carolina. So Charleston's about 2 hours south of where I am here in Myrtle Beach. But it says bottled by, not distilled by, produced by. So this is obviously for them. This is a sourced product. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind is MGP. But there's also there's Green River Distilling out of Owensboro, Kentucky. They also have a facility in Charleston. So we'll see. Doesn't smell terrible. Smells like bourbon. Got surprisingly, so you see the color there. Actually, pretty decent color to it. I don't know what the cost on this is. I wish I knew. I mean, it definitely smells a little ethanol, a little alcohol. But there's some oak, there's some sweet vanilla, some sweet cinnamon. Listen, if this were put in front of me over a cube of ice at any one of the bars down here, and you were to tell me that this is a blended whiskey, a blended American bourbon, I'd sip on it. I wouldn't probably bat my eye at it. Water actually helps it sweeten up and open up a little bit. Let me take another taste of that. It's like a green apple note in there. It was actually really intriguing. So aged a minimum of 6 months in new charred oak barrels. You know, there's nothing artificial about this at all. I'm sure there is some 6-month-old whiskey in there. You know, there's a sweetness, a graininess to it, but there's some older stuff in there. I mean, this is, you know, relatively, you know, it's got some color to it. I mean, not kind of like medium bodied, pretty I wouldn't say thick legs, but kind of sticky. There's a sugariness to it, but there's some graininess to it that you definitely get from that younger whiskey. But there's also like there's an oakiness, a sweet vanilla, sweet cinnamon, a little bit of butterscotch in there, a little bit of water kind of helped open it up a little bit. Finish is still, it's still going. It's not horrible. I don't know. Again, I don't know what the cost on this is, but I mean, this is one that I would actually, I'd put on my shelf, bottom shelf, but I put that on my shelf. Not bad. Good job, Hillbilly Whiskey. Good job. It's pretty good. Pretty decent stuff. I like that. Hillbilly Whiskey. Charleston, South Carolina. All right. Oh, I recognize this one right away. I've had this one before. I've had it a million times before. This is a great rye whiskey from Few, our good friend Paul Letko, up in Evanston, Illinois. Just recently bought out by, just purchased by Heaven Hill, which everybody at Sampson and Surrey, the company that oversees Few, I was very, very excited about. I actually interviewed Paul Letko on episode, I think number 2 of the Glass Less Traveled. I will put a link at the end of this video to that, so you can watch that. Really, really, if I still have it, actually, really, really fantastic rye. Again, this is one that I've had a million times before, so I'm not going to open this one just yet and sample, because I know exactly what to expect. Just really great stuff out of Evanston, Illinois. Really, really happy to see this in the box. So we'll move on to another one. Get the fuck out of town. Get out of town. Foursquare 2005 single blended rum. I wonder if that was a mistake. Did he mean to put that in there? Everything so far, except for that Few and really the Hillbilly, has kind of just been like, did he mean to put this off? I'm going to open it. I'm going to open it. So. Okay, so Foursquare Rum Distillery. So this is Richard Seal's distillery in Barbados. Foursquare distills arguably some of the best rum in the world. This is a rum. They don't add anything to it. There's no artificial coloring, no artificial flavoring. This is rum as it was intended to be, straight from the barrel. This was released, it says October 2017, and it was distilled in 2005. So this is a 12-year combination of pot and column still, which is very, which is what Richard Seal does at Foursquare. Aged 12 years ex-bourbon casks. Really, 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 wow. Wow. Awesome. Okay. Really excited to try this one. Now, I do have some rum in my closet back here from distillery, or from a company called the Real McCoy. And the Real McCoy is actually distilled by Foursquare. So it's true Foursquare rum. Now the cork, this is a artificial cork, and It is, the cap is somehow stuck. The plastic cap is somehow stuck on there, so I'll have to cut that off later. Really, really, God, so good. Really, really excited to try this one. Definitely, definitely gonna have a good time with this. So I'll have to cut that seal off later. But Foursquare rum, single blended rum. Wow. Really, really, really excited about this. Something that you don't, I mean, it's something you don't see on the shelf very often. Unless you're buying it, I can smell it from here. Unless you're buying it secondary market, something you're probably not going to see very frequently. Wow. I mean, honestly, that smells more like a bourbon than it does a rum. Just really, really big, bold notes, brown sugar, butterscotch, toffee. There's definitely like the toasted sugar, seasoned wood. %59 alcohol, 118 proof. Chocolate covered cherry, brown sugar, molasses. It's sweet. It's slightly savory. There's a little grassy note in there. It's everything that you want out of what rum should be. Compared to this Black Cat, I mean, it's on a whole different level. Just really big, bold, in-your-face flavors. There's nothing off-putting about that whatsoever. Just really, really there's like a marshmallowy note that comes through. I'm going to cut this seal off so I can close this properly. Anybody out there who is even remotely interested in trying a good rum, keep an eye out for anything at all that's made at Foursquare. There is a slight, you guys ever had remember Nerds, like the little rock candy? They made one, it was called Nerds Rope, and it was that sugary kind of sweet fruity. When you sip on this and then breathe out, I get that like tropical fruity flavor of almost like a Nerds Rope. It's just spectacular rum. Simple as that. It is just spectacular rum. Bravo to Richard Seal and everybody at Foursquare, and to my buddy who put that in that random box of what, for the most part so far, has just been bottom shelf. All right, let's move on. Oh, that's a big bottle. Oh, that is a liter. Triple Crown. Oh, God. Triple Crown Butterscotch. I mean, crafted with exceptional North American grain. If I were to guess, I'd say this is mostly grain neutral spirit, GNS. Bottled by Triple Crown Distilling, Weston, Missouri. 35% whiskey, butterscotch, liqueur, natural and artificial flavors, and caramel color. God damn it. How do you go from something as awesome as like a 2005, 2017 Foursquare rum, cask strength rum, to Like, why was that even in the box with this? You know what I mean? Oh, all right. Let's open this. See what this is about. Nice wooden, little wooden cap on there. So this is a cork. This is an actual cork, not an artificial. This is an actual cork. Let's see what it sounds like. Oh my God. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I love butterscotch. I love butterscotch. Oh man. Fucking just smells like a Werther's original butterscotch candy. This is going to be super, super sweet. I can already tell. Mm-hmm. You know what that would be really good with? Here's the thing. That's not terrible. You know what that would be really good with? Coffee. This would be really, really good in coffee. It's butterscotch, right? It's a butterscotch liqueur. You know, it's exactly what it says it is. It's nothing more. It's nothing less. Next weekend, there is a very, very high likelihood that I'm going to put this in my coffee on Saturday morning and Sunday morning, probably as well. Yeah. Triple Crown butterscotch. Not terrible. I'll put that down in the kitchen so I can have it with my coffee. All right. Let's move on to another Triple Crown. North American blended whiskey. So I'm running out of, how many more do I have? 4 more. I've got 3 lists. Okay, so bottled by Triple Crown Distilling Co., Weston, Missouri. 80% grain neutral spirit, 20% bourbon whiskey, 2 years old. Kind of like what was it, Grant? Whatever it was. Grant's. This is something that I would imagine to see in like my grandparents' basement at their wet bar. This is obviously not something that is going to be like in any sort of connoisseur's, shelf or collection. The cork is actually coming apart. Very poor cork. Smells like basically nothing at all. %, GNS, grain neutral spirit, 20%, 2-year-old straight bourbon whiskey from Triple Crown out of Weston, Missouri. Doesn't really smell like anything at all. Very, very light in color. Again, this is a mixer. You know, nobody's going out to buy this and drink it neat or even on the rock or on the rocks. Sweet, watered down. Tastes like there's some sort of artificial flavoring in there. My guess would be that there's almost definitely artificial coloring in there, caramel coloring. It was sweet. So there's definitely flavoring in there because this is 80% grain neutral spirit GNS. You'd think this would be a lot more vodka forward, but it is not at all. It is sweet. Brown sugar kind of thing. A mixer. Not a terrible mixer, but a mixer. Triple Crown, good effort. Exactly what you would imagine it would taste like. It's meant as a mixer. Not terrible. All right, Afrohead Premium Aged Dark Rum. Interesting. It's got a little wax. It's got a little wax up here on the top. It's got a closure that actually goes all the way around this way. And then it's got an actual closure that goes around. I'm guessing that this is probably cork. Imported by Harbor Island Rum Company, Nakamas, Florida. Product of Trinidad. Interesting. It's kind of dark, but again, there's not a lot of regulations for rum. So there's really no law that says you can't add flavoring or coloring just to keep a consistent product, or to flavor it or color it however you see fit. Really cool opening, kind of like that. It's like a plastic rubber. I like the little wax top. It's pretty cool. Put that in there. Nice dark stained wooden top on here. This is not a twist top. This is, my guess would be, this is probably real cork. And it is, which is weird. Oh no, actually this is not real cork. This is rubber. Afrohead Premium Aged Dark Rum. So you can see the color on there. Got a nice color to it. Smells nice. Doesn't have that big, bold, rich flavor that the Foursquare had. Tastes real nice. Really like that, actually. That's really good. That's really good. Deep, rich molassesy taste. Caramelized brown sugar. Toasted sugar like a creme brulee. There's a little bit of toffee in there. Slightly grassy towards the back. Little funk, which is really, really good to see in rum. I've never seen it before. I've never heard of it before. It's called Afrohead Premium Aged Dark Rum. This is tasty. This is really tasty. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. I'll tell you what. That's a good rum. I really like that. I don't know how much it costs. I hope it's not super expensive. Or maybe it is super expensive. Maybe I do hope it is super expensive. I don't know. That's really good. I'll have to look more into that. It's kind of everything you want out of an aged rum. It's got that molasses, the brown sugar, the toffee notes. Just a really, really, I'm very pleasantly surprised by that. 80 proof out of Trinidad. Interesting. Good job. Good job to Afrohead and to Harbor Island Rum Company. Really good. Really like that. All right, let's see what's next. We got two more. Three Chord. Three Chord I'm kind of familiar with. I wish I could remember the gentleman's name who owns the company. He's a music producer. He's a musician. I believe at one point he was married to Stevie Nicks. Just very big in the music industry. Three Chord obviously is a callback to and pays homage to guitars. They make some really, really fantastic whiskey. I actually have a bottle actually on this shelf right here of a Cabernet finished bourbon that is really, really enjoyable. So this is Three Chord Amplify Rye Whiskey. This is a blend of rye whiskeys. This comes in at 95 proof. This is the bottle right here. Amplify Rye Whiskey from 3 Chord. You can see the guitar pick right here on the front of it. Neil Giraldo. That's who it is. Neil Giraldo. Distilled in Kentucky and Indiana, perfectly tuned in Michigan. So distilled in Kentucky and Indiana. Kentucky could really be anybody. Indiana, you know, we know who that's going to be. And then my guess would be this is blended in Neil Giraldo's home state of, I believe it's his home state of Michigan. Rye Whiskey, Amplify Rye Whiskey. Let's see here. In music to increase volume, magnify sound. In storytelling to expand details, heighten awareness. In whiskey to enhance flavor, enrich the experience. Now, I generally don't like to read the flavor notes before, if they put them on the back of a bottle before tasting, because it kind of gives you that, it's suggestive. It's kind of telling you like, oh, look for these things, but just for the sake of you know, showing you guys and telling you guys what's on the back and what to expect. With hints of deep citrus and black pepper, spicy with an exceptionally smooth finish, 3 Chord Amplify Rye embodies the definition of enhanced flavor and enriched experience, fabulous for classic cocktails or create your own. Everything you seek in a rye whiskey, amplified. So, deep citrus and black pepper. Deep citrus and black pepper. Let's see, is this artificial or real cork? This looks like real cork. Three Chord. Color here is pretty light. Again, this is a blend of rye whiskeys. Don't know what the minimum or the maximum age here is. Blended out of whiskey sourced from Indiana and Kentucky. Very light on the nose. Really kind of got to get in there. Pretty quick running legs. Something off about that nose. It smells like Play-Doh. Spicy. We get a lot of that citrus they were talking about. Definitely peppery. This, there's a lot of products from 3 Chord that I've tried that I've genuinely liked. I own one of them. This is not one of them. It's almost what people say they don't like about rye whiskey. This has in it. You know, it's got a lot of bite to it. It's relatively thin. The finish is not very long, but the numbingness of the ethanol and that it's not one that I'm particularly excited about. We'll say that. Finish is very, very short. There's really not. It's just very lackluster. There's not a whole lot going on there. It is peppery. I don't get a lot of that citrus. I really just get more of that rye grain. I'm not excited about that one. All right. Last one. Let's see what it is. It is another 3 Chord. Blended bourbon whiskey. Another 3 Chord product from Neil Giraldo. 100% bourbon whiskey again. Oh, okay. Distilled in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. So this is Tennessee. Again, we can, without saying any names, we can pretty much pinpoint where that's going to come from. And Indiana. So we know where that's going to come from. And Kentucky, that can be any number of places. So another one from Chord. This one, it's pretty cool to be able to try their blended rye along with their blended bourbon. So this is 81 proof, 40.5% alcohol. All right. Smoky. Leather. Aged wood. Aged wood. Definitely get that barrel char in there. Swirl this around with some of that ethanol. Evaporate a little bit. Yeah, there's some more of that like Play-Doh note. So you see the color on there. Not too bad. Got a nice orangish, deep orange color. Just not a lot going on with the aroma. But then again, I just did finish smelling and tasting 12 spirits. It's that Play-Doh note that I get that just really kind of comes through. Yeah. Young. You can definitely tell that Tennessee distillery is coming through a little bit in there. Some orange peel. That Flintstones vitamin comes through. I mean, you guys all know what I'm talking about there. It's just it's you can taste the youth on there. It just, again, this might be a whiskey for a bourbon for someone. What I enjoy, not everybody else enjoys, and what everybody else enjoys, I might not enjoy. So overall, the 12 that the 12 that I tried, there were some bangers in there, and there were some things in there that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Some surprising things in there, and some things that I didn't need to open because I've had it a million times before. So really kind of fun experiment. This is really cool to do. I have to go through all of these Glencairn glasses in my dishwasher now, and I have to dump that spit cup just straight into the garbage. This is really cool. This is really fun. I'm glad I got to do this, everybody. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to try, and if you have any different opinions on any of the stuff that I've tried. If you're familiar with any of these brands, please feel free to comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. See ya.